10 10 10 Hey guys, can you hear me on Twitch and everywhere? Let me know. It's on. I'm using Restream to stream to everywhere. And YouTube. And yeah, the chat kind of, they have like a tool where you can chat with all of the channels at once, but I think it doesn't work with Facebook. Hey, and YouTube. And yeah, the chat kind of, they have like my face. My face is in the fucking galaxy. Woo! That's my face. Hello. Yeah, it's live on Facebook, so I don't know if people, I just wanted to post it. Hello everyone. Tonight we're gonna go into a hyperdrive. Come on. Yeah, Lasse is suggesting share that a link in the main group. I wanted to do that. And okay, I'm gonna go back to the chill galaxy. Oh my god, so much stuff happening again. Yeah, I think I cannot personally do a watch party, I suppose, on my own stream, but I think like if any of you guys maybe want to do a watch party on it and then invite people, I haven't figured out how live streaming on Facebook works. But I'm gonna post it in the chat now, and I mean in the group, right? And so guys, tonight I'm gonna need a little help from you all, I think, because I had a plan I wanted to do, and we are gonna do, of course, more vertex displacement. But I forgot a couple of things on the last stream I wanted to show you guys. And oh, okay, hold on. How do I? Okay, Lasse. Then the question is, how do I set the link, the stream to public? Oh, cool. Watch this video with this group. Start watch party. I can do it myself. And I'm gonna say start. Should work, I think. Let's see how that goes. That was actually a suggestion by Omi also. So thanks for that. The stream to public. Oh, but now, hold on. Now I have to watch this video with this group. Oh fuck! Now I have to start. Leave it open, I suppose. Watch party. The question is the watch party still going on if I close the window? Let's try. So you guys let me know. I'm leaving. And yes, Omi, full scale production. Well, now the problem is I have a huge amount of things. I cannot react to everything. Like there's comments here, and then there's comments there, and it's supposed to be consolidated with Restream, but again, it doesn't really work yet, I suppose. Alright, chat, does it work here now? Yay, it works here, okay, yay! Chat works here, but it's not, unfortunately not working, I think, for the Facebook event, the Facebook thing. So Lasse and guys, is the watch party still going on Facebook? Yeah, so Restream consolidates the stream and also the chat, but only for Twitch and for YouTube. And no one is watching on YouTube. Oh, but actually 20 people are watching on Facebook, so that's good. Anyway, guys, whatever. It is what it is, and if you know, anything doesn't work, let me know. I have to just reorganize my shit here a little bit. Because I have to get used to the new channels. Can I close that? No, I mean, you got it right. Shady, hi. So let's see, I can close this, I suppose. So again, tonight I'm gonna need a little help from you guys. Because I prepared something I wanted to do. I mean, first of all, we have Hannah Schilsky tonight on the show. If we can call it, can we call it show? I suppose. Oh, actually, also I have something cool also here. I have a soundboard. And a blue screen. Yeah. Anyway, hi Silver Mask, hi Felipe. And yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit more about vertex displacement. And actually one thing Matt pointed out, Matt Greenhulk, if that is what his name is called, pronounced. I don't know if you're here, Matt, but shout out to you for pointing that out. And anyway, so basically, let's just maybe jump in it and I'll tell you a little bit what it is about. So this was the little scene. Oh, and now probably, yeah, the chat is disturbing them. Hold on. Oh, you know what? Maybe I can just... that drum and bass loop, Yarin, is actually the Amon Break. Come on, we gotta do a little detour and talk about the Amon Break here. So if you don't know the Amon Break is the like best, like the most sampled piece of music essentially, which is this. That's the Amon Break, and it's from a 1969 track called Amon Brothers by the soul group The Winstons, and that has been the base for all drum bass music. Of course they know. Okay, well anyway, so I thought it's definitely important knowledge. Okay, but cool. So regarding the Vertex displacement. All right, let's just see. So I'm doing here this little wave stuff, which is moving kind of slowly, and I'm gonna, you know, get talk through everything and get to the bottom of that, and also why I'm even considering that here. So the Hammerhead software. I think I kind of remember Hammerhead software. Let's see what is Hammer. Let's learn something about music tonight. Why not? Hammerhead software. I do remember that. Shit, yes. Rhythm Station. So I suppose they had the Amon Break in there, yeah. Very cool, yeah. Very cool. Hammerhead. It's like a sequencer or something, right? Rhythm Station. It is definitely old school, yeah. It's like at the same time, Reason was popular for music production, right? Okay, anyway, whatever. Let's just, I'm just gonna walk you through what I'm doing here, and they use the Amon Break, yeah. So to look into vertex displacement again and explain a little bit what I was working on and why that is relevant, because also that was something I wanted to show you guys on the last stream and I kind of forgot, so I'm just gonna do it now. Okay, let's start from the beginning, and then first of all I'm gonna get rid of the guy, because yeah, we don't need that, and then we're gonna get our trusty torus back in as a test object for starters, and then set it up. So let's say we want to do vertex displacement, maybe for the people who haven't been around on the last streams. Basically, you can do vertex displacement now in Spark. And I prepared a little thing. Well, actually, two things I also talked about on the last few streams. One is the pass-through patch. This is basically just to set it up easier. So this is this, and then you can go to shader type and put that to pass through, and then the object will be here. Okay, well then my donut won't move. Yeah, that's an issue everyone can relate to. My donut won't move. So let's look into it. All right, so I'm putting the shader type to patch asset pass through. Exactly, reinstall your, throw the computer out of the window. And then basically, if I go to the material, I have the two inputs, color and position. And color, I'm gonna get our favorite texture in again. This guy, of course, for now, and put it to color. Nothing happens. Well, we have to reconnect the input, and we're gonna do that by getting the local position. I'm gonna zoom in here a little bit so that you can see that better. Vertex attribute, local position, and vertex transform, model view projection. You don't have to worry about that now. Multiply that together, and then boom, there's our donut. And now the thing, what I want to talk about today is that we do have that material on here, but we don't have any shading, right? So that's a problem. If we change anything on our lights here, or this guy here, it won't affect the material at all. And that is, well, I mean, that's an implementation decision that is questionable in my perspective. Why don't they connect the vertex displacement together with the standard material system? But no big deal, because on one hand, it is what it is. And then also, I think it's a great opportunity to learn a little bit about shading. So basically, what do we do if we want to get a light back in there and shade it? So what I did is I just Googled around a little bit and say, hey, learn OpenGL shading. Maybe. Why not? Let's see. And there we have something. Shaders. Okay, that's a triangle. Now we have colors. And I should have probably... Oh, lighting. Basic lighting. Okay, so this is the idea, right? You have... That's physics now. So you have the light shining down at your surface being reflected into your eye. And so this is what we want to do. Here's a lot of some formula stuff and basically how it was implemented. First, basic lighting here, this is how it works. And we're looking at diffuse lighting. So basically we want to have a light source, right? Like here, a light source. And we want that when the surface of our object is aligned towards the light source, we want it to be brighter, right? Okay, so let's try that into Spark. So first of all, if we want to use patches to do anything, we need to get the information into patches, right? So that's a little bit tricky, unfortunately, because you cannot get this position here of that light source into patches. And again, I did a little script which makes that a bit easier. And this is also again on my GitHub. And it's just what it's doing basically is it's just if I add a null object and I just have to set it up real quick, do from script, vector3, that's position, XYZ, drag that script in. And now what this will output here, I can show you real quick, is a vector3 which gives me the position of my object. And it's not working. It is great. That should work. Oh, it is working. I just had it on pause, I suppose. So see, now if I move this guy around, and hey, Julian, some 3D collision with the script. Which one? Yeah. Okay, but anyway, you see this is working. So I have now a position of something I can move. So that's the only thing I'm doing here. Now let's go back to this lighting thing. So what we want basically is we want to have, if we're looking at our position on the surface of something, we want basically a function that gives us a brighter value, a higher value, when the light is shining on it from the top, and a lower value when the light is shining on it from the side. So basically we want this angle here. And we are lucky because we have the dot product which gives us the angle. And so we want to have the angle between what we just did, like the position of our light source. It's complaining because it's a vector3. Okay. And what? Well, the position, the orientation, I should say, of our plane, our point. So it's basically a vector pointing upwards from our plane. And luckily we do have that, which is, it's a normal vector. That's what a normal vector is called, like, right? So if you Google a normal vector, then you will see this, and this is exactly what we're looking at. This is exactly what we want. So it's basically, it's the orientation of our plane. So this is our plane, right? That we want to shade, that we want to light, basically. And we have this n going in that direction. And the weird colors come from the fact that the normal vector is like a 3-dimensional vector. So we have 3 directions. And it's encoded in the RGB channels. Hi, Isabel. And that's why it's that weird color. So and we can look at it. So we have that in Spark. I know, yeah, me too. I just said it, unfortunately. So if we go vertex attribute and say local normal, and then I put that into color, it's complaining because this is a RGB, XYZ output, and color always wants 4 values. So I'm just gonna swizzle that and just go XYZ1. And then there you go. So this is the visualization of our normal vectors. And then this should actually really work if we just take now the dot product of our normal vectors with the position of our, well, let's call it light source. Then we just get one value, right? So if we just connect it here, it won't work again. See, it's red. it's angry. But if we swizzle it and go XXX1, then it is not working. Maybe it's the other way around. I had it. Fuck. That's unfortunate. Okay, let's see here. I had it on the other scene, it worked. I'm just gonna see what I did wrong now. I don't like it when a joke doesn't work. Very unfortunate. Okay, so what am I doing here? Local normal. Oh, okay, yeah. So now I have to first, let's see if I forgot one step. I have to normalize the. Yeah, now it works. So okay, so basically what happened is that if you look at the values I'm getting from the position here, they are kind of like arbitrary values, as you see here. And then when you normalize that, it means that the length of that vector is always 1. Okay. So the normalized light position, the dot product of the normalized light position and the local normal. And now, boom, that's what we have. So cool, we have basically a light source. Woo, hyperdrive! Very cool. So we have a light source. And then we can obviously also do our displacement shot. So if we set that up here and say, hey, local position, I want to add something to it, and I want to add whatever the sine. Let's just do it quickly. Sine wave of x, and put that on the y value. X, of course, and it needs to be 4. I always don't know what is called digits or whatever. So now it's displacing that, and now let's add time to it. So we can add runtime to it, and it's like way too much. So we're gonna multiply it by a small number, 0.01, and then we're gonna multiply this again to get a higher frequency, so whatever, 400. This is our displaced donut. It's moving very quickly, so we're just gonna multiply the runtime by a very low number to get a kind of like a nicer moving donut, and it's still a little bit too high. And now we can do vertex displacement and also light that thing. So yeah, again, this is pretty cool. And that's what I wanted to show you on the last stream. Okay, but now here's the thing. What actually Matt again pointed out to me was that that only works for the normals that are already in the object. And let me show you what I mean by that. So if we just import now a grid, for example, and get that grid in the scene and apply the same material we just created. Well, then, I mean, first of all, the values are a little bit weird because the scale is different. So let's maybe change that. And what we're seeing is that when we move our light here, we have a changing brightness, but only of basically the grid without the deformation on it, right? And now that was where I got stuck actually. So now what you would have to do is you would have to calculate your own normals in order for the light to react to it properly. And I thought it would be quite easy actually, but I just tried it and couldn't really get my head around it. So I think I'm not gonna try it on this chat here. and maybe do it on another time. But we could also just maybe look at it together and see where that goes. That would actually be kind of cool. So basically the idea is like that. I'm just gonna explain the idea. What we want to do to get the normals of the displaced. Okay, hold on. Lasse is saying the video is not working on Facebook. Just figure out if this is good. The question though is settings, quality, more video settings. I have no idea where I can change the settings so that it... Okay, hold on. Lasse is saying the video is not working. You have to set the stream on your profile to public. Stream on my profile. Okay, let's see. Okay, there it is. Edit post. Well, I'm just gonna put it here, and then you guys can let me know which button I should press. Lasse, you let me know what that is. Where should I click? I can click here, edit post, maybe. Live producer. Crazy, what is this? Come on, this is crazy. Live producer. Get started. Keys. I'm just gonna move that out of the way. Okay, use stream key. Done. Good. Now let's see if I can. Yeah, I don't know. On Facebook, close, click the icon with the people. Well, again, we can do it together. Leave this page, yes. On the Facebook post. Here. This is a Facebook post. Click the icon with the people. Here? This one or what? Yeah, I don't know. On Facebook, close. Share? No. Oh, this guy here. Invite friends. No, that's not it. Share. Further up. Okay, I like that. Here or what? Those people? No. This is the profile of the... Click the icon with the people. Here? This one or what? Under your name with the time. Oh, this! Oh, man. Public. Woohoo! Thank you. So that means that now people can just join, or do we have to like repost it or whatever? I have no idea. Should I repost it somehow? Or will people just be able to join? Well, I don't know. You guys can repost it on the thing, the group if you want. I'm gonna fucking buy cables. Alright, guys, so here's the thing. Now I'm gonna explain, oh well, whatever, I don't know, explain, but I'm gonna talk about the problem at hand. Okay, so what we're looking at is that we have here our plane, right? Then we have here our light source, right? And then this is the normal of our plane. And this is basically the orientation the plane knows from itself. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, so this is where I'm looking at. And the problem is that if we now displace the plane, right? And say, okay, we're gonna do our cool displacement shader on it and do our wavy thing here. Then each... Oh yeah, I have to turn... Philippe, I have to turn down the... I think I have to turn down the... music effects a little bit. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna try again. I think that's about it's a good volume. Cool, so now what we would need for this point to be bright, we would need the normal to face in this direction, and this point to be dark, we Yes. Thank you, Josh. Normalize the dot product. No, that's not the issue though. The problem is that I don't know if you're saying the same thing, but like basically the problem is that all normals are facing still in this direction. Okay, that's the problem. This is why the color on all the values is still the same, because as far as the point is concerned, it's still... Oh, making a joke about the loud of the volume. Oh, now I get it. Yeah, funny. Okay, very good. Much fun. So, yeah, okay, back to the normals. So what we need to do is we need to calculate our own normals, which is actually not too hard to do, but it's just like I tried it 5 minutes ago, couldn't figure it out. So basically how it works is... What comes into play is basically the cross product. So the cross product, what that gives you is a bunch of things, but in our case, if you have two vectors, right? So you have two vectors, right? Where am I? Yeah. And then the cross product will give you the vector that is perpendicular to it, this one, right? So basically this is the idea of the cross product, like a triangle. And this is kind of what we have, right? If you look at our plane, then we do know our displaced plane. And we just need to basically... Hold on. I can't even get the new layer to work. Clear. No, wrong function. Yeah. So basically, if we're looking at one plane of our mesh, right? This is our polygon. So we knew we need this vector and this vector, and then we're just gonna put the product in, and we get this vector, which will be the normal for our lighting situation. That's the idea basically. So what we're gonna try, or what I tried, or what the idea is, that if you have like a sine wave, for example, like this, right? So this is, hey Mark, hey. Which Boris? Cozy, the politician Boris, I suppose. That's the one? Yeah. So basically, if you have that sine wave, and so we are always sampling the height here, right? So basically, if we want to get this vector, to then get this vector, we just have to basically sample that same function here, and then subtract this from this. This gets us this vector. Then we're going to do the same in the z direction, which gives us this vector, and then we're going to do a cross product, which gives us this vector, which is the normal vector for the lighting shit, and then should work basically. Okay, so that's the theory, and I tried it and it didn't work. So basically, curved lines with SDF. Yeah, okay, I say yeah. But I mean, we want to have it work for any deformed object, right? That's the goal here. Okay, so basically what I tried was that I said, okay, so now actually we're deforming it only in one direction, right? So that means the other vector is always just pointing in, well, z. So, okay, let's see. So we want a dot product. And for that dot product, one of our vectors, as I said, is always pointing in z, straight down. So it's just 0, 0, 1, right? Because in this direction, the z direction here, blue arrow, yeah, we don't have any deformation going on. So this, and then, oh, it's complaining because I want, okay. And then the other value should be, well, what we just drew. So we get this position of the sign and this position subtracted. That gives us that vector. And that should be it. Hold on, let me think. Well, maybe this is the reason. But anyway, so I tried that and said, hey, all of this shit here, I'm just gonna copy it. And then I'm gonna say, okay, this position, but minus, I don't know, arbitrary number, 0.1. We have to figure that out. So this basically gives us this point here. So basically this guy here. Let me just. Okay, so this guy here is, let's assume, at this point. Right, this point. And this guy here at this point. Then we subtract it. Subtract it. And this is our other vector. And this should, I thought, should just work, but it doesn't. So I'm obviously overlooking something, but let's try. So if we take this and feed it in our dot product, yeah, nothing is happening. So this is where I was at. Hello. And yeah, I don't know. I have to think about it. Or some of you geniuses, let me know. Hey Tanja, das ist ja wirklich schön, dich zu sehen. Ja, ich mache hier Software-Shit. Yeah, some of you geniuses, let me know what am I doing wrong. But what I did figure out, if I add that value to the normal here, it does something. See, it does something. It's not correct 100%, but it does something. So basically, I don't know, Matt, if you're watching, but yes, the question was, okay, I'm just gonna put up. So see, so now we have shading on our wave. So, yay! Yeah, Nolan, come on. So again, like this is the idea. It kind of works, doesn't work really. Just started with it 5 minutes before the stream, so I don't know why it's not working, but I will figure it out. It's probably something easy, actually. But yeah, so that's it. That was what I wanted to show you today. Yay, shading with vertex displacement. And I mean, I think probably this is gonna be irrelevant because again, I don't think they will keep it that way, but they will probably include that with the PBR shading or whatnot. Cool. Alrighty. It looks like your roof, yeah. Does your roof also move that way? We can make it move faster. Whee! Yeah, it's like now I kind of want to play and figure that out, but I think this has to wait for after the chat, because now we are gonna introduce the amazing Hannah, and let's see if we can get her in the hangout session. So, woo! Feedback time. I'm Snake. Yeah, this is fun. I think this is gonna be the chat for the next hour. All right, cool. Oh, wrong. So frame buffering jealous. Yeah. Maybe Omi, if you get like a very old phone, maybe it does frame buffering. Oh. You are in. Oh, I have to click join. Hey, Hannah.
Hi.
Hey. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn off the music.
Oh, I'm gonna mute my Twitch.
Exactly, you have to mute your
Yeah.
Twitch. How's it going?
Right.
Welcome.
Good. How are you doing?
Well, I don't know. You tell me.
Amazing. I'm excited to try that.
Very good. Yeah, thanks. That was the right answer. Thanks for that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Thanks for coming on. And do you want to maybe just introduce yourself a little bit and yes,
Sure.
say hi to people?
Hi guys. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh yes. Thank you so much.
yeah.
We didn't talk about that yet.
Shout out to Mother Earth.
Yeah.
My name's Hannah, and I'm a developer. And yeah, I've been working with Spark for a few years now.
Few years. Wow. That's
Since Facebook. Since it was only Facebook.
Yeah. I just, you know that sometimes when Facebook gives you those posts where it says, oh, your memories from 2 years ago or whatever, And I had that the other day with something I did in Spark, and I was like, oh my god, that has been going on so long already.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I've been on and off. I haven't been as intensive as you have.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, me neither actually. I had phases always going back and forth. By the way, do you see the chat? Because people are waving.
oh, I was looking at it mirrored there. Oh, now I see it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm on such a delay on the Twitch.
I see. But I can also let you know, like,
Yay!
guys, if you have any questions for Hannah, I'm gonna make sure that she answers.
Yeah, there's like a good 5-second delay. I think it's my
All
my
right.
bandwidth
Yeah.
probably,
No.
but
No worries. No worries. All good.
cool. So yeah, I figured I would talk to you guys a bit about some alternative methods of procedural animation that can go into Spark and how I've been handling that with Houdini. And yesterday I figured out another method that I could use animations made in Unreal Engine. So some fun stuff.
Very cool. Very much looking forward to it. The chat is asking where does she work. So maybe I kind of interrupted you. Sorry for that. But maybe you
Oh,
can
no
get back
problem.
to the introduction.
Yeah. So I work at the Mill in New York City, and yeah, shout out to Mike Mann for getting me the gig.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, he visited me in Berlin, I think, last year.
Oh,
Yeah. When he was doing like a world trip or something, and then he
yeah,
stopped
no, he's
by.
such a sweetie. I'm very lucky. Yeah, actually, I got my job through Spark. So funny enough, and
Really?
now
Oh wow.
yeah, and now I'm doing all their Unreal Engine stuff. So
So, what's your background? Are you from a design background or from a developer background?
funny enough, I was a sculptor for
Oh, like a
many years.
traditional sculptor.
Yeah, I was a sculptor and I was doing some live, like some VFX, some practical effects, and that was my background. And I was working for Jeff Koons for a year and a half,
Wow.
and he had a department that they were using Unreal Engine,
Yeah.
and I was like the head of the molding department, so I was doing all of his rubber molds, and I would go home every night and I would teach myself Unreal Engine, and then I think I remember I like told my boss that I was gonna make snail hats and
Yeah.
I quit. And then I just like was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I love it. I love it in Unreal Engine. This is my life now.
Yeah.
And it was a good move.
Very
Sometimes you just
cool.
gotta leap and
And
yeah, it
so
was
you studied fine arts and did sculpting in that time, or
yeah,
how did you
I've
get
got
this?
so much weird shit in my room right now. This is like I'm in my childhood bedroom, so I have all my sculptures and well, some of them got
Well,
like
can you show us one? Oh yeah, I see something. Wow, that calls for.
little guy. This
That's
kind of
amazing.
thing.
How did you
So I've
make
got a lot of
that?
creatures everywhere. So this guy, I sculpted him out of clay, and then I cast him
Oh
in.
wow,
I made a mold in silicone, and then I cast him in silicone. So got those. Got a lot of little things everywhere.
that is amazing for sure.
Little naked old man.
Wow, and he's also made from silicone.
Yeah. I love working with silicone. Make it all fleshy.
Yeah, it looks amazing. So you sculpt it, you mold it, and then you pour it in essentially, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I do a
Yeah.
silicone mold into silicone. So it's yeah, and I'm actually really glad that I ended up doing computers for a living because it makes sculpting really fun for me. So I've
Yeah,
been
that's a
getting
good
back to
point.
it a lot and
That's a good point. You know,
yeah.
like people say, if you something along the lines of how the saying again, like if you do what you love, you don't have to work for a day of your life. So it's more like if you do what you love, you're stressed out all the time,
Right?
and you don't
And
have any.
yeah.
Yeah,
And sculpture materials are expensive, so it's nice to like work in tech and cover all that and not worry about selling my art because I don't ever want
yeah,
to worry about making sculptures that people want to buy for their house
yeah.
necessarily.
That's a good point. I saw I forgot who that was, unfortunately, but I saw a presentation by a guy who was a sculptor in Spain, I suppose, And then his story was that it was at the CGI conference in Stuttgart, and he was working for all the big movies, VFX, doing ZBrush sculpting. And his backstory was that he was a sculptor, like a traditional sculptor, in Spain, and he had his little studio on the side of the road. Like, I'm imagining it like a small winding mountain road. And then one day this Hollywood producer passes by and buys one of his sculptures. And it's like, hey, I'm doing all this, I don't know, movie work, and they stayed in touch, and then that got him into ZBrush, and that got him into Hollywood, and then he worked 5 years for the film industry, VFX industry, all over the place for like Weta and I don't know what, and then
wow.
5 years later he was like, fuck that, I'm out, and he went back to his small sculpting shop in Spain, and then he's doing his thing there. I thought it.
That's admirable. It's like when you
Yeah.
actually see what it's like to be paid minimum wage to do like the hardest work for people. It's like,
Yeah.
whew. But
Well, welcome to the gig.
oh, thank you. Yeah. Bit more of an intro.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, that is actually really cool. So yes. Well, you did prepare something. You said so. Let's see.
Yeah,
What you got?
I've got two things to show you. Well,
Mhm.
two different methods of animation.
Yes.
So I'm often going between Houdini, Unreal Engine, and sometimes Spark. And sometimes like I'll have an idea that is fitting for one, and then I'll visualize it in the other, and I'm just moving back and forth, recreating similar things of themes. So I don't know if it's been hard for anyone else to sleep, but I've been having a lot of trouble during quarantine. Here, let me share my screen now. Do 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 do. There we go. Okay. Oh, wait. Oh yeah, okay. You can see my screen. Sorry, the delay is throwing me off so much. So yeah, I made a automatic sheep counter for insomniacs. So it's basically like a bunch of sheep will fall on you. And this was in Unreal Engine first.
Oh,
So,
the soft body stuff is in Unreal also.
uh-huh. So this is
Oh,
all just live physics simulation in Unreal. And the physics in there are great. That's my favorite part. Like
cool.
everything in there, just watching it ragdoll is very satisfying. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
wanted to bring it into Spark.
So hold on. So those are ragdolls or what?
Uh-huh. So what
Okay.
I did there was I just simulated, and I'll get more into that when I go into the Unreal part, but that was where the concept came from. So those are just setting all the bodies to simulate physics. And when you do so, because there's nothing there, just going limp and ragdolling, and you're getting smothered by sheep. But
Yeah.
I wanted people to be able to be smothered by sheep in Spark. And so this is something that I've been using for probably like a few years now. Some brilliant guy that works for Houdini made all these game dev tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of,
Those are amazing.
oh my God, Luis Carell. Yeah, he's the man. So this is, I've been using the skinning converter of his to bring in deformations in there.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing here is I'm basically starting with the face mesh and sphere, whatnot. And that's just getting the face mesh ready to be dropped on. Then here I'm starting with the sheep. Blech. And transforming. Oh, let me go back to the beginning of the sim. And then what I did is I ran him through a vellum sim so that he'd balloon when he hit something. And then when I played the sim back, then you get some like nice squish on the face there. And then just like moving,
Very cool.
yes. So moving him, obviously moving the sheep around will mean you get a different squish every time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I would never want to hand animate that. So I'm always looking for ways to do things procedurally when I can. This is like a semi-procedural face slapper. But then the magic is in the skinning converter. A while ago, when I was using Maya to bake end cloth sims, I was using something that took every vertice and put a bone on every vertice and baked it.
Yeah.
And although it did a great job, it was super unoptimized because this sheep, for example, like it's got like yeah, it's like it would be like 4,500 bones, which obviously
Yeah.
we don't want.
Yeah.
So the skinning converter here is where all the magic happens. And this is nice because it gives you a visualization of the areas that are going to be less affected by the skinning. Anywhere that's black is going to be kind of left out. And it allows you to kind of like place them and you can choose how many bones there are. Does anyone actually know the maximum amount of bones there are in Spark? Because I've done this with 50 and I've done it with 70. And sometimes it's telling me the 51 is too much. And then sometimes it'll let me bring 70 in.
Interesting. Well, I mean, rule of thumb, I think, is that you should not use that many bones. But I
No.
think something like 20, couple of 20 something is considered all right. But as Nolan says, it's about the naming convention, and he figured that out. So if they have a specific way they are named, then you can bring in hundreds, apparently.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
That seems like a bug to me. Anyway, so this is, yeah, so then say 20 is all you want. 20. But then you can see obviously there's going to be parts that are more left out or not. But anyway, so this is how I've been able to bring it in, and then you do like a convert to bones. Then it goes through and it keyframes everything for you. It goes through the sim, so you're not sitting there rigging everything. And you keep something by you that you can do while this is simming. Cause yeah, that's Houdini. And that's why I like real-time stuff. I don't like waiting, I don't like rendering.
Yeah,
Although sometimes
same.
it's like I will say though, sometimes I'm like, oh cool, this is doing something, so I can go like away from my computer for a minute. Okay, so that completed, and then when you go out to the object, then you get inside here your 50 bones.
Yeah.
Voila. Bleh. And that did a pretty good job capturing the animation. Yeah, so then this is the most annoying part for me that took me a minute to figure out, like, just what part. So in the ROPNet, that's where you do your your export. So when you go to select what to export, you have like a lot of different options. Like, do I grab it from the geo? Do I grab it wherever? But you just grab the top of that hierarchy, the skinning conversion right there. Boop. And then that should export fine for you. And then I've been bringing it into Maya and re-exporting. I will bring it in there, make sure everything's good, and then I'll export again. And like it seems like it likes that better. I've brought things directly from Houdini into Spark, but sometimes things get wonky.
What are you using, FBX?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah,
it brings 1,000
I've
FPX.
had that same issue actually as well. So cool thing is that Houdini can export GLTF, but unfortunately not animation. So you do have to use the FBX thing, and it does not like it. Spark sometimes doesn't like it, and I have to do the same thing. And actually I'm using mostly Cinema 4D, and actually for Cinema it's similar, and it's literally just bringing it into Maya, opening it up, saving it again as FBX, and then it will work.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
I'm literally
what's
using
going on
Maya
there.
as like a weird converter for that sometimes. So I can show you guys what it looks like in Spark. It's pretty goofy. And I've also noticed too, I mean, I'll capture this FBX, I'll bring it into Unreal Engine, I'll bring it into Maya. It'll look great. And then sometimes things when they go into Spark, I don't know what it's doing, but it'll just look really different
Yeah.
or off.
Yeah.
So that's always been something I have to like troubleshoot. And of course, because he has insomnia, he's got those wide eyes.
Right. Oh, okay. That's yeah. Now I get it.
Brr. Yeah, do you know if actually they have the counting numbers, or do they have numbers in Instagram yet? Or like
What do you mean?
text, I mean? rendering text, or is that not there yet?
I don't know. In
Yeah.
Instagram, you cannot do text. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, is that still the case? It used to be an only Facebook thing.
Right. Hey, I just want to react to the chat really quick. Nolan is saying FBX 2013 maybe blenders, because what I looked into the files that Cinema and
Interesting.
Houdini put out, and if you look at them, if you export them in ASCII format, you see that FBX 2016 also has different versions. So there's like a version 4 point something of FBX 2016 and a version whatever other. And Spark just likes the one and not the other. So basically, just like Maya saves it in a different version or whatever, and then it works. And
Well,
but
that is really good to know. Thanks, Nolan. You the man. Oh, cool. And dynamic text exists, so I can actually make this the way I wanted to.
oh, you want to make
Cool.
a counter, right?
Yeah, you gotta count the
Yeah.
sheep for you, for
Yeah,
lazy,
yeah, yeah.
lazy insomniacs.
Very good.
So, yeah, oh, and then the eyes, that was just a easy, like, ZBrush, move stuff around deformation.
Yeah, but that looks cool.
You guys all know that. Don't need to go over any of that. But,
I don't know. I mean, chat, if anyone wants to know how to do the eyes on the guy, and what's his name again? No, yeah, I forgot. But like the guy, the African
you know
American.
this guy's name?
Yeah. We figured out who that is. It's like
No way!
yeah. It's like they are all Facebook employees, like all of the
Oh my god.
preview persons. And
I've been waiting to, like, run into these people someday and just be like,
yeah.
no.
Yeah. I have the on the Spark group somewhere is actually they posted the Facebook profiles of the persons.
Oh, that is so funny.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm
Yeah.
so glad someone figured that out. I hope they use, like, Facebook's Face Finder thing to find them. So there we go. That's some sheep for you. And what I did is, to make it, right now I have 2 different sheep on there, and I just offset their rotations a bit. Whoop. So they're randomizing a little bit of rotation on it, so it looks like, and the scale, to make it look like you're getting
Yeah,
a
cool.
wider variety of sheep.
So hold on, how are you? I'm sorry, I kind of missed one step. So how are you doing the all the sheep? Like what? Like so? Okay, so you simulated a bunch of different falls, right? Then you exported each of them as FBX, right?
So
And
there's
then
only 2 falls in here right now.
okay, and how do you do basically emit them, or how do you how does it work?
Yeah, so it's actually, like, dumb simple what I did here for that. Okay. Sorry, I'm, like, so used to moving around in Unreal. It's like, whoop.
Yeah. It's weird always. They should just all do the same old Maya
Right? I don't know why
thing.
they
I
have
don't
to,
know.
like, everything I'm just like, what is the click to move over?
I know.
So I'm just looping these animations and I'm randomizing a bit of their rotation every time. And then I'm also randomizing a bit of their scale every time they fall, just to make it look like there's more different sheep.
Right. I see. Okay.
So
But
this
there's
actually,
always the same amount of sheep
there's
in.
always the same amount of sheep. There's only 2 sheep. Oh, and then there's this guy creeping along the top. And that was just another Houdini, like, bend that I used it was like just a bend node, so I could bend them and
Yeah.
bend them back and just animate. And then I used the same exporter for that. So there
That
are
was
3
a
sheep.
that was actually something I'm looking into. That's actually something I'm looking into, to use vertex displacement to implement a bend in a Spark.
Yeah, that would be absolutely amazing.
I mean,
I was looking at what you're doing and I'm like, that would be cutting out so much of what I've been doing in Houdini. That would be wonderful.
yeah, exactly, because I hate jumping around between programs because of that. Those little, I think it's like those little psychological things, exactly like you mentioned. Every time you jump around, your brain has to readjust, so you kind of lose your track a little bit. And so, even though it might be more difficult to do something in one program, I'd rather do it in the same program and not jump around that much. I don't
Right.
know.
And and it's a gamble. Every time you export an animation from any program and
Yeah,
you bring it to Spark, you're like, what is
yeah.
this gonna look like?
It's like so weird. I'm losing so much. Just think about it, how much time you lose just by exporting and importing. It doesn't work. You do it again, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, if it looks like the sheep are lagging, that's because my whole bandwidth is lagging.
Yeah, so it's not the
By
sheep.
the way,
It's not the sheep. It's
it's me. It's my computer. I saw that. Yeah. So this actually brings me to the next thing that so yesterday I was thinking about this sheep and I was thinking about how much I wanted them to be able to have more animations and share the animations between one sheep. And you can't really do that so well with the setup that I had in Houdini. And I was thinking about the original setup that I had in Unreal Engine and how I could bring those animations in. And I realized it's probably very easy. And it wasn't that hard. So I'll go to that then. Boop. Let me save that.
So Bondel is asking whether you can do that in C4D, and the answer is no.
Can do what? The
Well, the process.
export?
Well, you can export it, but you cannot do the skinning conversion thing where you do an arbitrary. What you could
Mm.
do basically is that you would rig the sheep, right, and then animate it. And could you do ragdolls in cinema? I think somehow you can, yeah. So you can do it that way. But like this, what you're saying, that skinning converter thing, that is
That's
so,
Houdini
yeah.
specific.
And actually,
Yeah.
also it exists also in Maya. I just wanted to point that out. So there's this thing here, skinning converter for Maya, and that is exactly the same thing. And
Oh, cool. They updated it.
well, this one is like very old. I think that's the original one, but I do
Is
think
that's not the one with the Revertex though?
no,
Oh, that's
no.
5 years ago.
Yeah, but it's a plugin. But actually, we tried the Houdini one and the Maya one, and the Maya one has a couple more things you can tweak. So sometimes in like some edge cases where the Houdini one was not working out great because I don't know for whatever reason, we tried the Maya one. So it's like if you're working in Maya, then you can just you don't need to use Houdini for that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a great way to bring in Alembics or anything really, as long as, or I guess
Yeah.
not Alembics, but anything that doesn't change the amount of vertices and keeps them
Yes.
numbered the same.
Yes.
So yeah, so then I was thinking about ways, like I said, to bring in the physics simulations from Unreal Engine because it's the best in there. I love it. Everything's so fast. It happens in real time.
Yeah.
You're gonna see it in a lag, but it's yeah. So here is my ragdoll capture machine. So stupid.
That's amazing. Can you maybe, would you mind showing, I don't know how quick that is, but showing that setup in Unreal Engine, how you do the soft body stuff?
Sure. Yeah, so in here, and it took me a bit to figure out just because I don't know how much you guys have messed with Unreal Engine, but when there's an actor inside of a blueprint, for some reason on the export of the animation, it wasn't capturing the root. So I wasn't getting the movement of it, which in a lot of cases for game animation, you would want that. But in this case, where it was like in Spark, I just wanted to drop a stupid animation of a crow hitting someone in the face.
Yeah, yeah,
I wanted to capture the movement there.
right, yeah.
So I've been using the sequencer, cinematic sequence recorder, and you can grab an actor from the scene. And in this case, it's my crow. So you add him here. And then this is going to be capturing his animation. Now, this would have been like super simple if I could have just attached him to the projectile. But because of the root animation missing, I had to do a really weird setup where he's basically just a skeletal actor in this scene right now. So there he is up there. And here's my projectile. There's a couple things happening. I'll pull up all the ones.
Okay, so maybe just real quick. So I did use Unreal Engine actually a lot, but like this is some time ago. And Unreal Engine is one of those tools I feel, for me actually similar to ZBrush. It's like if you don't use it every day, it's impossible to get back into. I just remember once I wanted to do like a particles thing, in Unreal, and I thought, oh yeah, that's a quick thing. But like getting back into it after half a year or a year, like it was impossible to remember all that shit. So, and I
Oh
think maybe a
yeah.
lot of people that haven't even worked with Unreal at all before. So, um, well, I just was curious whether you could maybe show, even before you export that guy, how you even do the physics stuff in Unreal. If that's something easy to
Sure.
show, or if it's like weird,
Yeah.
difficult
No, that's
and
totally
whatever.
easy to show.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's yeah, no, this isn't even part of the export here. This is like basically so the logic that I had to set up for this thing to capture the root animation is so this is my first person character blueprint that I'm in right now. And every time I click my mouse, it's going to fire a bullet out of that gun. It's just going to play the animation of my gun firing.
Yeah.
And when it's doing that, it's spawning a projectile. And what I'm doing here is I made an event dispatcher called Dispatch the Crow. And it's basically passing the static mesh that is inside of my projectile through that event dispatcher, which then basically Unreal Engine is a lot of passing messages between things. It's like you just the hardest part is sometimes finding what to like cast to, but once you find it, it's like tell this thing to do that thing, and it ends up being like really simple logic, but then it can get spread out in weird situations like this where you have to put it outside of a blueprint.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So to reach something in the level blueprint, which is the blueprint that is specific to this map and can basically talk to this random crow in the scene, I had to make that event dispatcher. And so what I'm doing here is on begin play, I'm binding the event to dispatch the crow. And so, oh my, something just froze. Cool. Interesting. Okay, there we go. So when dispatch the crow, which is whenever I click the button or click my mouse in the first person, it's telling the level blueprint to attach the crow that is in the scene to that bullet. So it's basically snapping to the projectile, which I set up to be a homing missile. So it'll always hit the face. And then there's another event here that is simulating physics on him. So over here where it says set all bodies simulate physics, I made an event called shit was hit. And that is on the homing target itself. So whenever this homing target, which is this guy,
Yeah.
whenever he gets hit, see on component hit, on his static mesh being hit, it's calling shit was hit. So then, sorry, am I allowed to say shit on Twitch?
We will find out.
We'll find out. Sorry if this gets taken down.
I think yes, actually.
Yeah, okay, cool. So basically these are speaking to it saying, because I didn't want him to, if he simulates too soon, then he doesn't go anywhere. He doesn't travel because he's just flopping over. So you want him to simulate when he hits that spark face.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm waiting until he's hit there to do that. And to show you what the physics bodies in here look like, because those are pretty cool. The physics is all set up through boop, boop, boop. Rah! I love crows. I told you I was going to talk about crow science.
Yeah. You know that studio, Crows, the game studio?
No, I want to work for them just for their name.
Yeah, it's like a very famous indie games
Oh,
studio.
cool. What do they make?
Games.
Well, what games?
You know the Stanley Parable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the guy, like the designer, actually, he founded with a couple of other guys this studio. I don't know the games they make actually. I haven't played any of their games. I just know the name.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
hope they
Crows,
hire
crows,
me
crows.
someday. Just for the crows. Rah!
Yarin is
So,
saying he or she, I don't know, should have taken Ritalin, but drugs are also not allowed on Twitch.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, you can't. Well, I mean, you can be intoxicated. Obviously, who's gonna tell whether you're naturally high or whether you're on drugs? But you cannot
Can't
do
promote them.
well. You cannot promote them. You cannot do drugs on camera, right? You have to kind of do it off camera.
So why are you saying that?
No,
Uh,
because in the
no,
chat,
no.
because in the
Am I
chat,
going too fast? Oh,
someone said he or she should have taken Ritalin for that session today.
no, I mean, why are they saying that? Am I moving too fast?
Oh no, just because we're doing a lot of crazy tech, math, whatever shit.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, yeah. Actually, that's. I'm curious about that. For you, like coming from a classically trained, as far as I understood, arts background, all this stuff is probably, I don't know, like you seem to kind of like get that like super quick. Is it something you figured out when you started working in that field, or is it something you've always had interest in?
I do think that I have always been interested in science and especially crow science. Just kidding. But I don't know. I feel like when you're obsessed with things and you really love them and you love doing them, then you learn. And I've never sat down and been like, I'm going to learn how to program today.
Yeah,
Because that I never would have done it. I never would have had the attention span for it. But for me, it was like, you start out, and originally my goal was just to have a monster dance party in Unreal Engine so I could dance with my creatures. And that was like all I wanted to do. And
yeah,
then, of course, it just slowly spins out into like, but then I could have this thing happen and that thing happen. And you just keep learning more and absorbing the knowledge. And pretty soon it's just like you feel at home in here and like you have control over everything. And it, yeah, it's like you can be the director, you can be the set designer, you can be the lighting artist, you can be the animator. Like you can really just be your entire studio if you like it in here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I agree, and I also I totally agree to what you said is that if you like something, then you're gonna well I forgot how you phrased it, but basically then you're gonna get good in it because you're gonna make it often and then you're gonna learn quickly and so on. So it's I totally feel the same way. Like I feel that a lot of people might always ask themselves, well, how do I get successful, whatever that means, or how do I become, I don't know, famous or whatever. And I think this is like totally the wrong question to ask, but it should be like, what am I? What where do I have so much fun that I'm happy just doing it independently where it leads me, right? And this is where you are gonna get successful because you are gonna do good work, and then you are gonna get famous, or for whatever that means for you.
right. I'm
So
really bad at doing things I'm not interested in.
yeah, me too. It's impossible.
I don't pay attention. Like I'm just like
Yeah,
terrible. So this kind of stuff for me is so much fun and I make it fun because it's, I'm throwing crows at a face and capturing the animation. It's like, of course I want to like shoot a crow at somebody. Wah. Instead of like imagine hand animating that. I'd be so bored.
yeah. At the same time, I feel that a lot of times it would have been like probably quicker to just hand animate it, to be
Oh
honest.
yeah, no, that definitely would have been quicker. But at the same time, now I have infinite possibilities with this. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a crow that I'm shooting in there. I could make it a sheep. I can
Can
make it
you?
anything.
And that is just. But if I remember correctly, then you would have to set up the bounding boxes again, right?
For the physics?
Yes. Like if you want to bring
Uh,
in like a new object, like a new animal who you want to throw at the face,
so
then
actually, that's interesting that you're saying that because for the most part, yeah, you do have to, but you can also share physics assets. And something I ran into because I figured this out yesterday that I could get these into Spark, and something I ran into is that Unreal Engine the Z-axis is up, and Spark did not like those animations, so I ended up having to export the crow, unskin him, re-rig him in Maya, and bring him back in. And because the shape of him was so similar, I was still able to use the same physics assets that I already had set up in here.
right.
So if
And
the
are you?
body
But
is the same,
were you using the same skeleton with same names for bones and everything?
so I was using the same names, but I couldn't
Right.
import him. I couldn't share the skeleton on import.
But yeah, no, I think Unreal is smart enough to say, "Oh, I've heard that bone before. I've heard that name before. I'm just gonna remember whatever it was before." But like, say, if you wanted to bring in now a biped well, it is technically a biped, but let's say an elephant or whatever, like with a quadruped, which with like a totally different well, bone structure, but then you would probably have to assign all those capsules again to do the physics of the rig.
Yeah, if you want to bring in something that's completely different, you do have to. And in this case, I already had this guy set up, so I wasn't too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a really time-intensive thing for me, but that is actually where a lot of it's really not. It's not easy. It's not easy to make like a really good physics body.
Okay,
Because I mean, there's so much that goes into it. There's the positioning of everything, the settings on everything.
Right. Yeah.
You have to adjust all the constraints between them. You have like the actual physics bodies
Right.
and
Yeah.
then their relationship and
Yeah,
then
it's a bunch of work. I mean, if you compare it, especially with Houdini, where you can basically just throw any mesh in and be like, oh, well, and boom, and it just does it. So.
But the cool thing about this is because they're all on the same skeleton and it was all the same mesh, it was actually super light because it was using the existing crow skeleton. So it wasn't like the 50 bones I needed to cover all the vertices
Oh
of the
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
It was like he's
That's
already
true.
skinned. So this thing is set up for that. So anything I'm getting in there, I can just like, oh, and then this thing just like craps out crows. Bleh.
Oh yeah, wow.
But too much fun. But yeah, no, and then like so um and what I do like about it's just I have so much control in here and I can see the results right away. I'm not
Yeah,
waiting that minute to watch something simulate. You
yeah, absolutely.
can see it right away. Um let me show you one more thing. Da-da-da-da. That's the one. Oh yeah, I wrote it down. So I figured out yesterday that crows go 30 to 60 miles per hour.
Oh, that's amazing.
I wrote down these values because it looks way too fast in the animation if I keep it like that all the time.
Yeah,
But it
that's
is
so
like
amazing.
I converted it because Unreal Engine uses centimeters per second. So if I set his speed to 60 miles per hour, this thing goes so fast I couldn't
Yeah,
believe it. I was
yeah.
like, dang, crows are amazing. Yeah, it's like that's the speed of a crow. Coming at you.
All right.
Ah! Yeah. Sorry, it's too much fun. But yeah, I mean, if I can shoot things and make animations, why not? Doink. Um. Oh yeah, but so then when I'm bringing these out, I'm just exporting them, and then once again, I could bring it into Maya. I could chop it up into different takes, so I could have different things happen.
Okay, so
Um.
let me recap at that point. Okay, so we did agree that a couple of things, right? Let's recap. So first of all, Houdini is amazing, but it's difficult to learn. Unreal is amazing. It's fucking ugly, but it's also probably
What?
difficult
It's
to
so
learn.
hot in there. I love it.
It's come on, the UI is just
Oh my god, it's like the 90s. I love it.
oh, true, yeah. If you that's a good point. If you look at it like from
Yeah.
a vaporwave perspective, you know that aesthetic thing. Yeah, maybe. But okay, so now you've imported your rigged asset, and I'm just recapping for the people on the stream that they keep, that they know what's going on. And interrupt me if I'm saying something which is not accurate, right? So you imported your rigged asset, you set up the physics, or in this case, you already set them up. You throw them at the guy's face, and then the whole blueprint shit basically comes from that. In Spark, you want the animation to be from the word origin and not from the crow origin, right? So that it just throws at your face. So that's why you have to do all this blueprint stuff you were talking about, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And now you're gonna export it as what, FBX?
Uh-huh. So
Oh,
it records little animations through the sequence recorder. So it's like a and when I export the FBX, it only is taking the skeleton. So what I have to do is I'll
right.
take the mesh that's rigged in Maya and then I'll put it in the
Oh
take
shit.
editor.
Okay, so basically, a sequencer for the ones that might not have used Unreal Engine. So Unreal Engine is basically everything is geared around being interactive. So that's the thing. Like if you have like what you said, like an actor is like an entity in that engine, and they are always thinking about something in a game. So if you come like from, I think a lot of people might. I don't know. At least I do come back from an animation perspective. It's kind of weird. You kind of have to adjust to it. So, and then the sequencer module is it's like basically like a whatever Premiere or like an editor inside of Unreal, which allows you to do cinematics, and with that you can, and you're using it to export that crow because it has an export function for FBX, right?
Right. So the sequencer I'm using to capture the animation in. So it's recording all the skeletal animation data. So like here you can see this is in the animation editor, and that's the sequence I just recorded of the crow. So now I've got like all these wonderful animations of a crow hitting a face. And so
Yeah.
then like you said, they're amazing. Like couldn't be better.
And so for
Ship
what
it.
we're looking at right now, just for me, because I kind of lost you there. So you said that you had to export the the skeleton, and then you had to go back into Maya, re-import the animation to the rigged guy, and then you re-imported that into Unreal?
So that was only because in this case, when he was first in here, because I was using him in Unreal Engine, not for Spark,
Yeah.
he had the Z-axis up. And when I was exporting the animation, like things would look, it was like all Y up in Spark.
Yeah.
And things would look fine in Maya. But when I brought him into Spark, it was like he was off of his skeleton. Things were like going bonkers. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So I just rigged him up the way that Spark likes it, which is Y up. And I rotated him and brought him in here to like maintain that same axis conversion that Spark is happy with. And now this guy will make animations that can be acceptable in Spark. So that was what it took me like 3 hours to realize what was going on. I was like, why? I can see it in Maya. What is going on here? But so now I mean, it's like you said, it wasn't like a quick thing to set up, but now like imagine I just want anything to shoot out and I have the physics set up because I could just be like, boom, animation.
Yeah, maybe you can share the Unreal file, I don't know, and then people can just throw shit at people's faces.
Sure.
Or
Yeah,
you could offer us at a service, right?
Yeah, right.
Throw shit at your face as a service.
I would love that to be my job. Send me your shit. I will throw it at this face. Yeah, because I mean, there is like a lot that. Whoop. Yeah, and because he's a homing projectile, he's always gonna try and go back to the face, even if it goes in the roundabout.
This is like advanced. This is not. This is like yeah. This is advanced.
It is so much fun. I love this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, I haven't been using Spark as much. Like you guys, what you guys are doing in Spark is super advanced. But for me, I'm like all the other stuff I do. I was like, how can I get this in there? Because I'm not great with JavaScript. Like I'm just not. Like I've learned enough of it to get around in there, but it's not where I'm comfortable and not where I'm like thriving. So I've kind of like thought of ways to like make it fun and get around doing some of it. But yeah, it's you know, you got to stick to what's fun to you and what like you are good
Absolutely.
at.
And I have to say I get it. I was always like one of our developers or designers, whatever guy, all around amazing guy. He is using blueprints a lot, and I was always like, well, why? You know, what's the difference? Whether you put like down a note or whether you type in an editor the name of the function, it's the same thing, right? What difference does it make? But it does actually make a difference, and I feel the same way now with patches and Spark. I'd rather use patches because I just feel comfortable moving around in it, and I think from someone from a development background, they probably feel the same way about the JavaScript implementation.
Oh, definitely. And that also, I have to say, like, if anyone from Spark sees this, I've asked for this before, but oh my God, it would make the biggest difference. Like I don't even know what this node is. I'm not using it, but my point is like this little thing right here, right there, being able to like control where the nodes are going, like huge like quality of life.
You know what you can do actually if you can just use value to pass things through, right? So you can.
Yeah, but you want to like drop a value node down everywhere.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I'm doing.
You are doing that?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
So like if I have a big thing, I just go value, boom, and then I move it for wherever I need it, and then I just, and so on.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I just like him like looking at a nest, like, why can't I just do this?
Yeah, totally. And then the other thing they have like is a sender receiver thing, which is pretty cool too. I think this is probably new. Yeah, is
Ooh,
that true? There you can
I
basically
haven't messed with
say,
that yet.
anyway,
Yeah, but
back to
that's like a
your,
huge. Oh no. So then this is just like brought into things in Spark. But my point is now it can be one skeleton and they can share all the animations and have different animations that are super light. This is very lightweight because it was just the amount of like bones that was on the crow.
yeah.
So
So
they're all
now
just
that what you're doing in Spark is the same idea you did with the sheep, basically the same scene, but just with crows instead of
this is
sheep, right?
yeah, this is
More or
even more
less.
simple. This is just like not even I think they just have animation controllers with like two animations on them. Like it is just yeah, they're this one's dirt simple. And then eyes because he's a crow man. Like with
Yeah.
terribly blacked out eyes.
Yeah, it's interesting that like you are definitely right in that regard. I feel that if you are using whatever tool you're comfortable in and then bringing that into Spark, you are going to get superior results. And you do see that from creators, I think, that people who don't know Spark like very well or at all, maybe just really getting into it. I'm not saying you, but like other persons that might have a background in VFX or 3D animation or games, they make amazing looking things, right? And like for me, I kind of got hooked onto that Spark thing, and now I want to figure it out and I want to make it do shit which is hard. It's like a puzzle, right? Even though it's kind of weird, you probably could have done it. In my case, I'm saying like you know, this vertex displacement stuff is probably not that useful, really. Actually, one
No,
thing.
that one is actually super useful. The vertex displacement, that's great. Like I'm
So
totally gonna use that on everything.
I just wanted to point out one thing from Side Effects Labs that I would so love to use, and I'm sure you know that one is, and that is actually using vertex displacement in Unreal, and this is this one here, the vertex animation textures. So what this does is, have you,
Oh, I
Hannah,
love that.
you
Of
know that?
course.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can do like particle effects and whatever, and bring them from Houdini into Unreal, and
Uh-huh.
you could theoretically now do that in Spark 2. The problem is the animation
The
is
export.
you could adapt it even like because you could like someone could probably go into that script and then just adapt it for Spark. The problem is that the data is stored in textures, and the vertex displacement cannot read texture data. I don't know why, but it can't. So you cannot do that. But basically, the idea, guys, if you're watching it and you don't know what's going on, the idea here is that how do you bring arbitrary simulations that have changing topology from frame to frame in a real-time context? So basically, like if you're in Houdini, right, and you simulate a waterfall or whatnot, then obviously not every frame is going to have the same amount of polygons, right? And the idea they do that, the way they do it in this, what's it called? Vertex animation textures. It's basically they
Oh,
take,
yeah.
what is that?
Yeah, they're like vertex yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
Materials or whatever.
they use it using basically textures, and they store the position of each vertex at each frame in a texture, and they're reading that in a shader, and they're displacing the vertices of one arbitrary mesh, which basically is just a store of a bunch of vertices every frame, and that way they get this cool shit. And, yeah, I would totally love to get that in Spark, but again, as the implementation is done right now, you cannot do that. Lasse actually, Lasse is saying OpenGL version, or some OpenGL version doesn't support texture reading vertex edge. I actually read about that, and it should. There's this other thing from I think from GPU Gems that is really cool. It's like what is it? A simulation on the GPU or something. And that works the same way, and it says specifically that I'm talking to Lasse that should be part of the specification of OpenGL actually. Yes, unfortunately, Spark doesn't offer that. It's this paper, if anyone's interested here.
Oh, and someone was
Fluid.
asking how I created the jiggly physics things.
Yes.
Yeah, so those ones are in Houdini. It wasn't even really it was balloon vellum solvers, and then in Unreal Engine, it's all in the physics bodies. So these are all just live, real-time physics because, in a game you don't want something to have the same deformation every time.
Right. So those pigs are now simulated again in Unreal?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is just a pig turret.
Yeah, that looks somehow wrong. I don't know.
I know, it's like a horrible thing to see. Sorry. It's like the stuff I'm looking at all day.
Are you a vegetarian?
I am a vegetarian.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like this is so much fun to me. I only hurt fake animals.
Welcome back, guys. New video.
But yeah, so I mean, to me, like this just seems like infinite animation possibilities.
Absolutely. And it's also, I think what I love about being interested in those things and trying different tools is that I feel that you always learn something, right? The stuff you learn in Unreal, you can, exactly like you say, you can bring into Spark, and the stuff you use in Houdini. So I think it's just very interesting. If you have the time and the inclination, I suppose, to learn several things, but I think it is definitely valuable.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I just don't sleep, so. Oh, cool! Like, I can knock the pigs away with the crow. Aw.
Oh,
Pew!
so you can also shoot a crow at a crow. Also?
You can shoot the crow. Well, that one's not simulated. So
Oh,
yeah, I
I
don't think
see.
that one. I could put the collision on him, and then.
Yeah.
But these pigs are already sim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah.
That was amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
This is
definitely
fun.
It's I think it was quite a heavy episode actually.
Oh, well, if you guys have any questions after that, yeah, I know it was a lot to go through. This is like 3 years of experience I just like dumped
in
on
10 minutes.
one thing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, like contact me. I'm on around the
Yeah,
line.
where would you like if we share your what, like the Instagram, or what was it?
Sure, yeah, my
Which one?
Instagram is Dr. Hans. I got like I had a video of a little boy that was running around and he happened to be naked.
Okay.
And Instagram like did something to like I lost a lot of my content tools and started losing all my followers really fast.
Okay, wow.
It was pretty fun. Yeah, don't have little naked boys on your Instagram, huh? So
well, or anywhere, I suppose. If they're not your own kids, at least.
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't matter. That's the thing. I've like known people that got theirs blocked for their own kids.
Yeah, but I think, like personally, I think you should not show your kids on the internet. Which I suppose I shouldn't say that because my daughter walked in on the first stream, so.
Aww.
Yeah. But generally speaking, I feel.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not healthy for them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, reach out, come find me. I'm around.
Very
and
cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to go play with your Vertex shader.
Yes.
Oh wait,
yeah,
how do I? Dun. 1 second.
Yeah, you got more? You got something? What was it like? What's
got a quick little thing. Let me. Oh,
one more thing.
And on that note, happy Mother's Day, everybody!
All right, amazing. Very
Bye,
cool.
guys.
Very cool. All right, cool. Yeah, I think that sounds like I'm gonna hang up, right? You can also hang out and I don't know and see if because the chat is a little delayed if people have still questions. Again,
people have questions?
I don't know, but just like if they do, then maybe
sure.
we should hang out because I don't have anything else.
I do have to go on a hike with my mom today.
Okay, cool.
At some point. So I can hang out for like another 15, 20 minutes. You guys have any questions?
Yeah.
But if not, yeah.
And then
gotta take the mom out, gotta take the dogs out. Aw.
And then I'm
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, guys. Our pleasure, I suppose, right?
Yeah, this
Oh,
is a lot
yeah.
of fun.
Bondel is asking. I think you already answered that, but I was wondering how you do the physics blob thing in your filter fave. Fave? I don't know.
Which one? The like where the face blobs?
I suppose maybe.
Yeah, because I do have one filter where the face drop one I made like 2 years ago. Oh yeah, that one. So that was a Houdini cache. That was the same thing you saw with the sheep, except I used the face filter. And then I just pinned constraints around the edge of the face, and then the whole face blobs forward, but then it doesn't fall off his head.
Can you show that one? Do you have that handy?
Let's see. Do I have that one? Maybe if I go to my Instagram. Let's see. Instagram. Doo-doo-doo. Ah, get over there. Oh God. Does it let you go to your filters in here?
I don't know.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
like all the kind of anything like, oh, how does my filter get accepted, or where do I find? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
I
I
just
don't
like
care.
don't
Like
even.
I
Yeah, no,
like
I'm
making the shit.
so out of it.
I don't care what happens with it.
That's
But it's
exactly how
funny.
I feel.
It's funny though, because in the chat also someone said that they started with Spark as kind of like a coincidence, and now it's their job. And I think that's true for a lot of people. I mean, for me, it is true a little bit. I am working with Spark a lot, so this is a thing. The blob guy. Yeah, that looks really cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's one of them. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was a redshift render, so I wasn't like.
Yeah. I was about to say this looks.
So that was one of them, and then there's another one where the whole face blobs forward.
I see.
Where? I don't think I even took a video of it. I like do not promote my account as like a filter account. I feel like those are the ones that are like super popular, and I'm like, I don't care. Just kind
Yeah,
of like
me
sticking every random shit on there.
neither.
Yeah, I don't have the bandwidth for that. No, I think like the community and the people I've met through this are way better than anyone that's randomly messaged me on Instagram. I'm getting like I always get people that are like, "Can you do this work for me for free? Let's
Yeah,
collaborate."
totally. I feel
I'm
like,
like,
but
what?
I feel like it's so funny because, oh, well, it's actually sad. It's not funny at all, but it's like
Wow.
in a lot of people in the kind of like design world or illustration world, if they ask, oh, wow, yeah, so this is
Yeah,
oh,
that's,
hold on, but so this is how did you do it?
so this was in Houdini, the vellum solver on the face.
Oh, but it's not then the face mesh in.
So it is the face mesh. I just took the face mesh into Houdini and I simmed that.
Yeah. And then you
Um,
re-imported it as not the face mesh, but just any mesh and put it in the face
yeah,
tracker,
and you
right? Yeah.
could probably, oh God, that music's horrible. You could bring it into, you could probably like cache it at several different deformations and blend through it to
Yeah,
keep it
yeah.
on the thing, but this is like this is before they even had the deformation option in Spark. This was like 66 weeks ago.
That's cool. So what I was saying, basically, but yeah, I feel that a lot of people like illustration and design, like graphic design, they say they get all of their jobs from Instagram, or most of their jobs. I never got any job where I could say, well, that's kind of like a sensible job I would want to do as like a professional, something out of Instagram, like not ever. It's like all it's like all bullshit. Like, oh, I have $50. Can you make? Well, no, And I mean, no offense, but like the point being is that this is not. It's not. I don't know. So I don't know how people do that, or if there's anyone who truly gets their like revenue through just Instagram. Maybe, but not me.
Yeah, no, that's never been my source of income.
Yeah.
I just got
And
lucky with the people I met along the way. And the more people you meet, the more you end up going to different
Das kann doch nicht
places
sein.
and
Und
finding
dann kam
different
der auf die
things.
Idee,
And
diese Kohle.
it's wonderful.
yeah, and the funny thing is that we talked about that and all of the streams actually about the community, which I mean, obviously this is kind of like part of this community, but I do think that is a special thing because everyone says that they enjoy the community so much, and I do agree. So that's that's cool.
Yeah, no, I feel lucky. Oh, and someone there was saying, was that just blend shapes? And that was the thing that I showed you guys first in Houdini, the way like the skinning tool, the game dev skinning tool by Louise Carell. So that was a Houdini sim that I baked into an animation just on the face mesh, and then I re-imported it as an FBX. But I'm sure there's much, now that we have the deformations, you could probably just bring it in as like a bunch of different steps of deformation if you just cast out
I
the
actually
mesh.
did that for a project. That was the one I was referring to earlier when I tried. So basically, I had a simulation in Houdini, and I tried the rigging deformer or whatever the thing is called, skinning export thing there. What is it called again?
It's the game dev skinning converter.
Skinning converter. There you go. So skinning converter. And it didn't really work because it kind of mangled the mesh. And then actually what I did was I exported every other or every 10th or whatever frame of that mesh as a separate mesh, imported them in Spark as deformations, and then in Spark set up like a patch which just cycles through all of them, and that worked quite well actually.
And that's like a better way of doing it too, because then you have more procedural options.
It depends what you want to do, but
That's true.
It,
I like to leave as many options open as possible when I'm like.
Yeah, of course. The cool thing is that if you do it that way, you can adjust timing instead of Spark. Well, I suppose you can do the same thing if you just do a bone animation, right? But
yeah.
But yeah.
Although yeah, they changed the scripting around. I guess not recently, but the last time I checked, so I was like. And luckily Nolan had made that documentation, but I used to do just like getting a lot of the bones and rotating through the script and everything with the locations. And that's how like on the snail filter I have, the tentacles move around back and forth. Yeah. But now I'm like, I don't know how to get that.
Yeah, you mean the this what's the thing called? Promises scripting.
Yeah,
change, right?
yeah.
Like,
and I've just I haven't gotten into it yet, so
yeah, we discussed that on the first two streams, and but then again, like it's like so much shit you have to keep up with in all of those tools, so it's like impossible if you're not doing it daily. It's kind of impossible to.
Oh, definitely with Spark.
Yeah, but I mean, with Unreal, it's the same thing, and with Houdini, actually, I feel the same way. Like every half version, they bring out so much stuff. Oh, this link is live. Hong is saying, is this something new? Did you use that? We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. So what is this? Sparkcreators.org. It's just a URL for the. Oh, that's pretty cool. You have the list here. So it's a URL for the Git Spark AR community GitHub repository. Do you want to keep it as that, or do you want to put like an actual like website and stuff for it? Facebook's probably gonna sue you for using Spark and a URL.
No, they'll be happy you're doing their work.
Oh yeah. We've been talking about that, but whatever. Cool.
No, I mean they've made so many improvements. It's been a journey.
I think the people working on Spark actually are really cool.
I do too. I mean everything they've made is like.
Yeah.
I remember where it used to be like not that long ago, and
yeah. Totally. I mean the development speed is crazy, and I was totally against doing a Windows version, because I don't know if you remember, in the beginning it was only Mac. There wasn't a Windows version of it. And
I do remember that because I have Windows.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, why even bother? But actually, the pace is really quick, so they're doing a lot of things. I mean, the implementations, I have to say, are always a little bit wonky. Yeah, it's not like every time it's like, oh, vertex displacement, everyone's excited, and then but it doesn't work with shaders, so it's basically useless unless you do your own shader like we did today, which is kind of like, this is not what you would expect from an actual production environment. Like this very much feels like a, I don't know, very kind of like crude, I don't know, toy or something. But that makes it fun. But not what you would want like for an actual like tool you want to like use,
Well,
right?
I
So
think that's
uh,
where like you have to with Spark. It's kind of like, well, this is good enough, and you
yeah,
enjoy it. For
exactly,
what it is. Like
exactly,
the end
exactly.
result, people are viewing on a tiny screen anyway, like on Facebook mostly. I mean, on Instagram mostly. It's like, how much are you gonna put into making this like perfect?
Hey, actually, I think it's also it works on their what's it called, the TV thing, like the portal, Facebook portal, right?
Oh
Like it's
yeah,
this
yeah.
product where you have basically Mark Zuckerberg looking into your living room the whole day.
Oh good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's what I want.
Spark works on this one also. I'm not
Can it do the
100%.
reverse? Can we like look into his living room?
We were actually talking last stream about they have like Luke Hurd was on and he said he's part of the Horizon beta program, and Horizon is this new VR chat thing they're doing. And then I said, well, how many people are in Horizon? And he was like, well, 100 probably around that. So very small. So yeah, it's very probably Mark Zuckerberg is hanging out there.
Oh,
So
that'd be so funny. I
yeah, that
wonder
would
what his
actually be
avatar
funny.
looks
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
The, the
yeah,
lizard.
with like data from Star Trek.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I gotta run
Yeah,
and
yeah.
take my
You gotta
mom
run.
for a hike, but
All
thank you
right.
so much for having me on this
Yeah.
show.
Thanks so much for
And
being
seriously,
there.
reach out if anyone has any questions, and it was so good to talk with you.
Thanks so much for doing that. Cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Very impressive work. Really
Oh,
exciting and inspiring. I'm sure people learned a lot. And yeah, very cool. Thanks so much.
you too can shoot crows at people's faces.
What did you learn today? All right.
Have a
Cool.
great day, guys.
Bye bye. Yay. Yeah, that was so much better than like just lame waves. So okay, so what are we gonna do today? I thought we were gonna rate this channel here. I found a channel that has Unreal development going on. So it's like, well, why not rate this guy today? Let's see if that works. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and see you next Sunday, hopefully. Next Sunday, I think we have Matt on, which is going to be amazing. We're going to talk more Vertex Displacement, probably, unless something else comes up. So I'm going to see if the rating works. Yes, it does. So guys, thanks for having us. It was fun. See you around. Bye bye.
Thanks for the raid. How you doing, mate? There we go. Okay. So no helmet drops. Let's get some mining in here. Came for the Unreal action. Well, thank you for stopping by, my friend.